If people are influenced by something online, that can be counteracted by having a good community or a good family or whatever to fall back onto, right? Just a normal environment around you to kind of snap you back to reality and be like, hey, that thing you see online, no one does that, or whatever. If they don't have that, then they're just gonna straight up scroll TikToks and think that this is normal because they're a kid and they don't know. They have no life experience. They cannot discern like what is reasonable and normal on there and what is like totally just fake for clicks, for views, whatever. So it's crazy. People put so much stock into the internet. They put stock into the internet and then they make it sound like the problem is like, oh, we got to take devices away. But it's not even that. You just have to like talk to them and be present in their lives so that they can look at this stuff and know that it's not real. Like, yes, if you take away TikTok, that will help. But you need to teach them what's normal, because if they were just educated on what is normal, they had social lives and things, they would sit there and scroll through and just know that this is not how people act, right? Think kids think that far? If you teach them to, yes, absolutely. All you do is show them what's normal, what's real, and give them life experience that they can then reference that that they see online against. But if they don't have that and they don't have a proper normal frame of reference, they're not going to reference it to anything. They're just going to look at it and accept it as truth. So they're going to see like some streamer being an asshole and throwing a glass on the floor in front of cleaning staff, and they're going to be like, oh, that's so funny. People do that. But if you give them a normal home environment and you're like, breaking is bad, they will be like, oh, and then see that and go, breaking is bad, right? For example, kids absolutely do think like that. The reason why kids are so annoying to deal with, teenagers especially, is they think they know but they only have like 5 life experiences to reference anything against, but they think they know everything off of those 5 happenings in their life. And then as they get older, they accumulate more life experience, and then they start to think a little more critically. But they're always trying to think critically the whole time. They just don't have the life experience and the memories to then weigh anything they see in front of them against and compare, right? And that's why teenagers are so annoying, because they're capable of thinking critically. They really are. They just don't have the frame of reference that adults do, So if you just give them a bit more experience, they can do it. They can do it just fine. Kids aren't stupid. They are inexperienced. They're actually quite smart and in many ways capable of being just as smart as any adult. They just don't have the frames of reference that adults have. I think they're super capable. They just need a little, someone putting them in the right situations or putting the right stuff in front of them, putting them in front of the right people. I've got plenty of kids in my family, and I see the difference, in how some of them are raised and how it definitely affects how they think and how they look at situations. And there are ones that are very much like, given devices, but not really given unfettered access to the internet as much as they want, more supervised, required to spend a lot of time in social situations. And I just see how they think and react to the world right now. And then I look at the ones that definitely were given less of that, and none of them were even bad. Like in my family, we don't really have many like straight up pure iPad kids or anything like that, but some slightly more than others. And I could see the difference. I could see the huge difference. And they're not even nearly as bad as some of the kids that are out there that are like true iPad kids, Your niece is not allowed to have a phone. I don't think kids should have their own device that they just can choose when they use it until they're in like middle school. That's my opinion. They need to be past 10 minimum. I think they should be past like 14 personally, but and even then you limit it. It's still limited on amount of time it's being used and what is there. And parental controls exist. I just think a lot of parents don't know how to use them. But I actually delved into it a lot because one of my cousins was asking me, and she was like, I want to let my kid use an iPad and be able to watch things, be able to do stuff, but I don't want them to just have a device that can do anything. So I went into parental controls and like tried to figure it out, because I was like, I've never used these, but I know this exists. And I went in. It is really good, actually. It is really good how in-depth parental controls are on most devices. So I was able to make it so that they could only access certain things. They could not download new apps. There was one where if they wanted to download a new app, it would queue it for the parent to look at. So the kid could be like, I want this. And then the parent would see a list of things that the kid wants and be able to go look them up and see what they want and research it and then approve, which I thought was really nice. Like the approval system was cool. But yeah, it was very, very, very in-depth, and they were able to do that. They made it so that, for example, on YouTube, their access to the YouTube app made it so that they could not delete watch history. They couldn't open incognito windows for the internet, stuff like that, etc., etc. I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, okay, that's good, because then they can't like do weird shit to bypass, It was good. And now this kid has a device that they can use. It is parent gives it to them at certain times and takes it away. They don't have it literally all the time. And the parental controls give you so much, but you don't have to lock the kid down to 2 apps. Like they're still able to use the internet. And then you can just like, see in real time, you can check with your other device what they're doing. which is really nice. And I was like, man, they really need to implement that level like everywhere. Unfortunately, it's a lot of work, but they're going to need to implement that everywhere, methinks. These parental controls were cool, and the thing that I thought was really neat was the kid can't even access parental controls to like check things or whatever with a passcode. Instead, the parent has to use like their authenticator app. Which is hidden behind a passcode. The parent has to use an authenticator app that is specifically for the parental controls. And they open it and they press a thing on their own phone to then unlock those controls on the other device. And then even then, it tells them every time it's done it and keeps a log of it that you cannot delete. So the parent could see if the kid somehow managed to get their device and then like unlock parental controls, whatever, they can look and see a log. I was like, ooh, this is pretty good, pretty hard for a kid to do the wrong with this. So very interesting, very interesting. 1984. I mean, the thing is, like, look, I was on the internet a long time ago. I know what was on the internet when a lot of people were kids and all this stuff, and there was a lot of bad stuff out there. But the thing is, a lot of that bad stuff that was out there was not aimed at them or being used to manipulate them or anything like that. It was just some weirdo was being like, I like when adults poop in their diapers. I'm going to put pictures of it on a weird adults poop in their diapers site, right? And then a kid might stumble upon it because someone was like, haha, have you seen this? And they're like, oh, what is that? But it was always like kept in a little vacuum. You know what I mean? And you were witnessing crazy as a kid on the internet sometimes. But it was not like aimed at you. Nowadays, a lot of this stuff is more actually aimed at them and stuff, or there's a lot of things that I think are less about just like shocking someone with an image and more like I don't think if someone sees something like that, they're gonna get messed up forever the same way as if they're given a feedback loop of content that changes their ideals and they keep watching like shorts from some guy who's like, I think it is okay to hit people or whatever. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other shit out there that arguably like affects them as a person a lot more. And I think a lot of it is a lot more purposeful. So yeah, we need parental controls. I did see that Australia did their thing. They passed their thing and they were like, hey, yeah, all these sites, if you want kids on there, you got to do this, this, and that. And I saw that and I was like, that's going to be a lot of work for these sites to comply with. It's a cool start. But how many people are really going to abide by it? I don't know. Like, you can make something illegal, but I think a lot of kids are going to find ways to get around it anyway. They're just going to be like, oh yeah, my profile, I'm totally 18, or whatever. It's hard to do that without affecting adult privacy. Yeah, it depends on how they actually vet this stuff. I don't know. I'm just like, it starts to get difficult. I don't know. I think in general, I think the fault lies on the parents. I'm really in the camp of like, parental controls exist. They're getting better. Perhaps what they should do, if they're going to require anyone to do anything, they should require platforms to have more parental control, or maybe it's just a browser-wide thing. I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, like, you can try to make all these sweeping changes and do whatever you want, but it's gonna fall on the parents. You can't do it at any other level, Like, it's just impossible with this kind of scale. Both parents are working overtime to even keep the house. Not a excuse. I don't care. You know how many people in my family are like that? They have kids, 2 parents working overtime to keep the house. You buy them a device, you spend 1 session of time sitting down working out the parental controls. And if you can't really sit there and get into the nitty-gritty of every little thing, then you just press the couple of simple buttons where you're like, lock everything down but YouTube and let me see the history. Boom, done. You can also just not let them have it. I'm an advocate for video games, okay? Hear me out, guys. Hear me out. You want your kid to sit there and do a thing for hours and you don't pay attention to them because you are busy? Don't give them an iPad to scroll through. Buy them a Nintendo Switch too. You know what I mean? Now I know it's more expensive. But still, get them some games. You lock down their ability to open apps that have social media related things on them or whatever. And instead, you just get them some games. You know how many kids played like Dragon Quest and like learned to read a lot of complex words because they were playing Dragon Quest? Like, you know what I mean? There's so much better stuff that they could pick up from playing video games. Get them Balatro and have them sitting there trying to do like mental math while they're looking at the options of the passives they can take. Brother, I'm just saying. And that's an app on a phone. You don't need to buy a whole device for that. Give them Minecraft. Ooh, there's a lot of good stuff out there. I have a lot of, like I said, a lot of family members that have kids. And There was one set of kids that their dad is very into Magic the Gathering, and they have some cards, and they were like, we like things like this, but you know, how many hours can you spend sitting there playing Magic? Like you can, but especially when you only have the same decks. I was like, okay, let me figure something out. I was looking at what devices they have and everything, and I said, it, I'm gonna get them Slay the Spire and get them into roguelikes. Okay, get them into the idea of like deck builders, because they already have been introed to Magic. They're starting to understand, like, you know, oh, there's this availability of cards, and if I could put these things together, this deck has some sort of synergy with itself, right? Ooh, they were like kind of getting that. So I was like, dude, you want a deck build as you play the game? And I sent them Slay the Spire. I got it for them. And now they're hooked, and they have no desire to open TikTok, to go into YouTube Shorts, anything like that. They're just like, yo, I'm gonna open Slay the Spire. Next up, I'm gonna make them open Vintage Stories, straight up. Make them make a world together and just do that. Incredible. You got your niece into Minecraft and you think you may have ruined her life? No, it's so much better than the other shit they could be into. They need something to fill their time, and letting them flex themselves creatively by building stuff, you know, letting them build little redstone systems, like, it's so much better than anything else, really, you know? Vintage Story would be pretty difficult. No, it has a handbook. You could search for stuff. It teaches them how to research when given like a little handbook, right? You've got your own little encyclopedian game. They're fine. I'll figure it out. Teach us little crop rotation, right? The soil doesn't have enough nitrates. Would you rather them be into Minecraft or be into NPC TikTok creators saying Glizzy Overdrive? Your kid's just sitting there stimming going, entering Glizzy Overdrive over and over. Hellish, man, hellish. Every time I see like a genuine iPad kid doing that, I can't be around them. They just say words that they repeat and think are funny, and their brain is like half melted. They just, ice cream so good.